We will call our meeting to order tonight. Renata, if you could do the roll call.
Gookin?
Here.
Miller? Here. English?
Here.
Evans? Eddinger?
Here.
McEvers?
Here.
Just wanted to note that Amy Evans unfortunately got trapped in Seattle on flight delay after flight delay. She's going to try to get here as soon as she can. So she's going to be hopefully joining us as long as she didn't get another flight delay. So let's rise for our invocation. We have Pastor Chris Laurie with the Anthem Church here.
Let's pray. Heavenly Father, we come to you today and we ask for your guidance and your wisdom and your support as we begin this meeting. We thank you for our mayor and this council and all those that provide amazing leadership and care for our city. Help us tonight, Lord, to engage in meaningful discussion. Allow us to grow as a group and nurture the bonds of community, and fill us tonight with your grace, Lord. I thank you, Jesus, for all that you'll accomplish tonight, Lord, and I pray bless this time in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Would you lead us in the pledge, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We don't have any amendments to the agenda tonight, so we will move on. We have a presentation, and we have Deputy Fire Chief Tom Greif, and it's a life-saving award. Come on up, Tom. Bring your crew.
I see Kenny back there all beaming.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. Thank you for allowing us some time at your meeting tonight for this great story that I'm about to share with you guys. I'm privileged again this evening to come before you to recognize some special members of our community. Each year, the City of Coeur d'Alene dedicates countless hours to special events that come to our great city, and this evening is why we do that. On July 22nd, the City of Coeur d'Alene hosted the Race the River Triathlon. During the swim portion of this race, one of the athletes experienced a sudden cardiac arrest. The reason that we are able to stand before you this evening is because the people that I'm about to introduce to you acted quickly and without any hesitation. It was the action of all involved that day that made this rescue possible. Mr. David Wyatt was pulled from the water, and life-saving CPR was started by race staff and bystanders. When the Coeur d'Alene Fire Department event crews arrived to assist, early defibrillation was delivered and transport to the hospital was initiated. During transport, Mr. Wyatt regained pulses, began breathing on his own, regained consciousness, and even was talking to the crew before they got to the hospital. Now it is my privilege to introduce you to the people responsible for this incredible life-saving event. Tony Koch, could you come up? Rick Anderson, he was a bystander that assisted with CPR. He can't be here tonight. He's deployed on the wildland fire. Tona Koch, Amy Hofer, Isaac Mann, Ivanka Curran, Kurt Dupuis. Did I say that right? You said it right. All right. Dwight McCain, Nancy Courage, and Kim Murdoch. These are all the folks responsible, in addition to our first responders that were dedicated to this event. A lot of the pre-planning that goes into these events, the staffing, the coverage on the courses, all played into this resuscitation. That there are a lot of people on this side and a lot of people on this side. Most importantly, now I'd like to call up David Wyatt and his wife, Dawn. And I'd like to welcome, if anybody from the race staff or David or Don could have, you want to talk, that's fine. If you don't, that's fine also. But if you join us for another round of applause for these great staff and responders. Would a picture be appropriate?
Yeah, you bet.
Probably have.
We have a picture taker.
Someone could paint it.
I'll do that. We can have the your mayor come over with it.
I should be fired.
I'm sorry. I'm going to give you a hard time.
Please do.
Over here.
Yeah, come on, let's all line up.
No. Okay.
I'm gonna count to 3. 1, 2, 3. Practice. Okay, I can't see the pink shirt. Yes. Okay, 1. This way right here. Cheese.
Great.
I was wondering what all those people are for.
Volunteer, of course.
All ready to rumble, huh?
That concludes our presentation. I just wanted to thank Mayor and Council again for giving us the resources to staff these events appropriately. There's a lot of them every summer. We put a lot of, between, streets, PD, and fire, we put a lot of overtime hours in these events, and it paid off on July 22nd, so thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Appreciate it. Let's give them all another round of applause. So we move on to public comment. Anyone that wishes to come up can address the council. We would have 3 minutes to do so on city business.
Good evening. My name is David Lyons. Midtown parking. To encourage business in Midtown, you created the Midtown Infill Overlay District. Your ordinance says its purpose is, quote, to encourage development while protecting the surrounding neighborhood, and, quote, to encourage a sensitive form of development. The severe Midtown parking problems are in the Coeur area, from Reed to Boise. That's mostly old buildings, grandfathered under existing zoning, and so not required to provide off-street parking. A half block east of 4th, it's single-family residential. According to the Midtown Parking Study, with which I have issues, but that's for another day, in that core area, Capone's, Junk, Yates, and Angelo's provide private off-street parking for their customers only. The other 4th Street businesses don't. So their customers and employees have to get by on public parking. What public parking is there? There's the 2 Ignite lots on 3rd and 4th Streets, which are the only public off-street parking south of Harrison. Otherwise, just on-street parking, 4th Street and the side streets. The 2 Ignite lots have 57 spaces. There are 19 on 4th Street. Those other businesses generate a parking demand of about 120 or more spaces, leaving a shortage of about 40 to 50, which falls on the side streets. So the neighbors, particularly east of 4th, are up in arms. What's needed is more public off-street parking in the Reed to Boise core. With the Ignite property available there, Here's a solution that works for both the businesses and the neighbors. A larger free public parking lot on 4th Street, where the existing 4th Street lot, the flea market, and some of the bare land are. The 3rd Street lot, which no one uses, becomes something else. And restricted parking from Reed to Boise, east of the alley to 5th or 6th Street. The businesses get a new free parking lot for their customers and employees. The neighbors don't have everyone parking up their block. Thank you.
Anyone else wishing to give public comment tonight?
Sorry, I'm really dragging. Susie Snedeker. I lived on 5th Street, the 800 block of 5th Street, for close to 30 years. As many of you, or some of you know, I was also a planning commissioner. I served for 11 years. Parking has always been an issue in the alley when I was there. We didn't have I moved away, oh geez, it's almost 20 years ago. But there's always, remember that in your comprehensive plan, there's a statement that says that the transition from commercial to residential should be done with care and should stop at mid-block. Remember, Woody? Yes?
Yes.
So, in that was to preserve the residential character of the properties to the east on 5th Street and to the west on 2nd. It was to preserve the residential character of the neighborhoods. Parking, it was the bar people parked behind the fence, they parked in the alley. They also parked but they weren't encroaching where I was. But I was a few doors down. It's a real problem because there are only a few parking spaces between the alley and 5th Street. And I'd like you to drive it, and drive it during the daytime, so you have some idea as to exactly what's going on in that neighborhood. You have to do it, and you have to walk it. Find out what's going on in that neighborhood. Dan, you've been around. You used to live down on Foster. You know that there can be an issue. So I'm asking you to please walk it and find some solutions so that the neighbors are not going nuts because they can't have friends come over because the commercial property the commercial entities are having their, are utilizing that space. I realize it's a public street. I realize anybody can do anything, but I'd point out the fort ground seems to be special. And the city still maintains the streets in the fort grounds. So think about this. There probably is a solution. I know that people downtown have a similar problem. The residential areas downtown have a similar problem. So think about it. There's a solution that is a win-win for absolutely everybody. Look, there's parking across the street. I don't get why people won't go there, but they don't. And I think maybe David's solution and David's analysis is right spot on. Open up the green space that nobody uses except the guy who mows the lawn because it's cordoned off with a chain link fence. Open it up for parking. It's one more avenue for you for parking on 4th Street, and give the neighbors a break, please. They pay their taxes too, and they really would like to be able to park in front of their homes when they come home or have guests. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wishing to come up for public comment?
My name is Gina Bodker. Good evening, Mayor and council members. We have one of these spectacular pre-fall evenings that I'm sure you'd rather not be here, so I'll make mine short and hopefully you can get out and enjoy it. And I know this subject is not on the agenda for tonight, but I sincerely request that the council give staff direction on the rezoning hearing with the Planning Commission for the River's Edge project from a C17 zoning to an R34 that is scheduled for October 9th, which is being held way before the traffic study is complete. It seems to many of us attending many meetings that the $86,000 that we are spending on the traffic study was put into place for this very reason, to study the traffic impact on such a massive, high-density project. With the proposed 870 apartments translating to at least 4,000 to 5,000 additional vehicles, trips per day, it becomes even more important that all hearings in regards to the River's Edge project be delayed until the findings of the completed traffic study are analyzed and submitted for review and decisions. I would like to hope that the traffic study will direct and recommend to council with its findings that lower density really is okay and would be better for everyone, and that a forward future thinking plan of adding a freeway access point between Northwest Boulevard and Highway 41 off-ramps would serve the city of Coeur d'Alene far into the future as we continue to grow. Please let River's Edge development apply for a zone change, but after and with a completed, analyzed traffic impact study report. Thank you.
I have good news for you, Gina.
Thank you. What's that?
We're working on that right now
Okay.
to make sure that this hearing takes place with the complete traffic study done.
And that should be then way after December.
Well, not way after December, at the time when the traffic study is done.
Yes, at
we'll
the
have-
traffic
yeah.
meeting, they suggested it would be late December.
Yeah, so that's what staff is working on now. Mr.
Great.
Douglas has an application in for that October 9th meeting, and
Right.
staff is being in touch with him to rearrange that meeting so that the complete traffic study is done.
Great. Thank you.
There you go.
Appreciate it. Enjoy your evenings.
Anyone else wishing to give public comment?
Good evening. My name is Roger Smith. I'm really pleased to hear what you just said, Mayor. That's great. My comments tonight are a follow-up to a letter I sent to council this past week. I have another letter which I'll leave with the clerk here tonight also. Traffic and congestion are quickly becoming a major concern in Coeur d'Alene. And even though I heard you, Mr. Mayor, what you just said, I think my comments, I would still like to make my comments and be on record. Yeah, so traffic congestion quickly becoming a major concern in Coeur d'Alene, as you probably all have seen. As you all know, a traffic study for $86,000 of taxpayer money is underway to assess the impacts of the proposed development of the two mill sites west of Riverstone. That study involves measuring the current traffic and also projecting the impacts of future traffic that would be generated by these two very large developments of the two mill sites. The two mill sites, of course, are the city-owned Atlas site and the River's Edge development proposed to the west. The traffic study that's underway is not slated for completion until December, as Gina commented on. And here's the problem. The proposed River's Edge development involving the 870 new apartments has been scheduled for the Planning Commission October 9th, quite before the traffic study would be done. So it's important, what's important here is that the River's Edge project is asking for a rezone, very big deal, right? A rezone from the comprehensive plan to a very high density R34 from a C17, a doubling of the density. This will likely be the biggest project to come before the Planning Commission. Their decision as to rezoning will need to consider all the available information. Certainly, the Planning Commission will have to consider the major traffic impacts of the proposed 870 new apartments. I'm aware that the city has an MOU with this developer of River's Edge contingent on his getting the zoning change to this very high-density R34. But this should not be the reason to advance the River's Edge project without proper reviews. So my request is twofold. I would like to see first the River's Edge proposal removed from the Planning Commission agenda of October 9th and tabled until the traffic study has been completed and fully reviewed. Second, I think council should also consider placing a broader moratorium on any hearings for new development in the area of the traffic study until after the traffic study is done. So any developments should be put on hold until that traffic study is available and reviewed and its mitigation measures considered. Having information on future traffic impacts is critical to any of these big developments. I know the council can't take any voting action tonight, so I would just request the following action: that council agendize this issue and my request for formal discussion at the next council meeting, which I believe is October 2nd. Important here is the timing, of course. October 2nd, your next meeting, is before the scheduled public hearing on October 9th before the Planning Commission. So timing, very important. Thank you for consideration of my requests.
Anyone else wishing to give public comment tonight?
Hello, Nathan Baker, aka Opie. You know me from the skate park. I didn't put this on the agenda, but I wanted to come in because in a couple weeks on October 6th, we're doing the grand opening celebration for the skate park. The contractors are working their tails off over there to make sure that happens. The skate park user community is over the moon over how this thing's going. I just want to express to you guys our extreme gratitude of that something this amazing is happening for us in Coeur d'Alene. I know all of them just don't even know how to feel about it. It's just unreal. We want to make sure that anybody that's on the council can and hopefully can make it to the event. I know the mayor will be there at 10 a.m. on October 6th to cut a ribbon, and we'll get this skate park in use with the community and have some food trucks down there. We're going to have some music. It's going to be the celebration that that wonderful space deserves, we hope. So if there's any questions, I'll answer any.
You know, the one thing you'd have to say is if more people skated, we wouldn't have to worry about all this traffic, right?
We would have other concerns.
Yeah. Any questions? I know it's something you guys have been really looking forward to, something that Woody has worked very hard to make this happen. So.
And what are the hours of your celebration on October 6th?
It starts at 10 a.m. and then it's going to close at dusk.
Okay,
So
all day.
hopefully that's about 7 p.m.
Stop in.
Yeah.
Okay,
And
great.
cocktails are at 7, was it?
There is an after party for the 21 and up crowd. But certainly not at our new skate park.
All right. Great.
Thank you.
Thanks. Anyone else wishing to give public comment tonight?
Fun.
If not, we will move on to the next part, and the next part is announcements. Any member of the council have an announcement? Dan.
I'll go. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So there were some questions raised at our public comments, and I would like an opinion from our attorney. Just hypothetically speaking, does council have the authority to stop a scheduled hearing of the Planning Commission?
Yeah, we looked at that, and we can continue a hearing. In this case, we can continue from the October to the November. But beyond that, I think we have to go forward with that hearing.
So it's gonna happen. All right. And also,
well, unless we've been trying to get a hold of the applicant. He's traveling also, and to discuss this with him. But hopefully, he'll be amenable and understand that it's a key piece of information for his project. So.
oh, good. Thank you. And I just wanted to say happy birthday, Mr. Mayor, yesterday.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Just letting everyone know.
Yeah.
It was his birthday yesterday.
Anyone else have a comment? Amy, did you go by all the speed laws to get here?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Okay. Someone down here have Ron?
Yeah, I'd just like to mention that over the last, say, couple of weeks, I've got a lot of phone calls about traffic and also the high rises that are being built in Coeur d'Alene. And I would like to maybe have the Planning Commission kind of look at some of these projects.
Troy has got his pen out. He's writing that down.
I got to tell you, Ron, I'm on KMPO, which does the master planning for transportation in the county. And that topic came up at our meeting last week. We talked about the traffic, how crazy it's getting. And one of the reasons is the last time we really looked at growth in the county and did some master planning was in the 1980s. And it was estimated that the population of Kootenai County would be about 100,000, and now it's 150. So we're just seeing the effects of growth on a traffic system that's not designed to support it. So people are moving as fast as they can to try to accommodate that existing traffic as well as plan for the future. But at the federal level, planning for that stuff is like 5 years out. So we're going to deal with it, but it's going to happen on government time.
Well, I just think that with what's happened down in California and back in the southeast, that we're going to be getting a lot more traffic, a lot more people moving up into this area. And I think that we should start looking at the traffic and looking at the high rises. I just think that.
Mm-hmm. And I think, too, we've had a lot of road construction projects. We have I-90, we have Government Way, we've had a lot of road construction projects, Celtice Way, and so that's kind of compounded the issue of having a very, very busy summer in Coeur d'Alene, a lot of activity. Kootenai Health is obviously growing, a lot of new people, a lot of jobs there, and so it's an issue. It's not a quick fix, but it's something that we certainly need to study, and this traffic study is going to hopefully give us some good information so we can have some planning tools to move forward. But Troy has noted that our Planning Commission is working on that comp plan, and maybe at some future time in the next couple of months, they can give planning can give an update on the comp plan and those things coming forward. Okay. Anyone have anything else? I have a couple of appointments. I would like to look to appoint Derek Kaler and Beverly Moss to the Arts Commission.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move to approval of consent calendar as presented, including resolution 18052.
Second.
Motion and a second to approve the consent calendar. Any other discussion? Roll call, please.
Eddinger,
Yes.
Evans,
Yes.
Miller,
Yes?
McEvers,
Yes.
Gookin,
Yeah.
English.
Yes.
Motion carried. We will now move on to other business. This is resolution number 18-053, approval of a labor agreement with the Lake City Employees Association. Troy.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I bring to you the third of 3 employee contracts this summer that we have been working on. Thank you, Mayor, for being a party to this negotiation. We bring forward to you for your ratification a 5-year contract proposal with the Lake City Employees Association. There's one correction I'd like to make to the financial section. That would be on the increase in the health reimbursement account known as VEBA. It's a voluntary employer benefit account, goes directly to the employee. I typed in 160 per month. The movement, that should be 165. We will make that correction in the contract. This was a second year in a row we'd discussed the changes to their contract, so there aren't as many in this one as your previous contracts. We proposed in here to increase the license and certification. Those are one-time payments to the folks that go get that. That's an increase of $50. They were very, very very positive on the tuition reimbursement. So we budget $5,000 towards the tuition reimbursement. That's overseen by our Human Resources Department, and we had proposed to increase it by $1,000 per year over their 5-year contract. If they don't use those dollars go back to the general fund balance. The significant change was the fact that in this contract, there was 2 skip years in the merit increases. We have eliminated the skip years, taken the same dollar amount from minimum to maximum, and split that into 2.5% chunks so that it goes all the way through the contract with potential increases based on their performance. This group also agreed to your medical plan, so we have all 3 groups agreeing to that. It had some changes to the plan and a cost increase for the employees that have dependents on the plan. The one that management worked the closest on was moving from an overtime period of 8 hours in one given day to a total of 40 hours in a week. That was a significant change that had been in the contract for years and years and years. And again, our strategy was not to have 2 employee contracts come due at one time. So this is a proposal of 5 years that management was comfortable with and LCEA was comfortable with as well. So they have voted on it and they passed it. Otherwise, I wouldn't be in front of you tonight. So I'd stand for any questions you may have.
Questions for Troy? If we don't have any questions, we'd be looking for council action.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we approve Resolution 18053, which is approving a labor agreement with Lake City Employees Association with the correction as noted.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call, please.
Evans?
Yes.
Miller?
Yes.
McEvers?
Yes.
Gookin?
Yes.
English?
Yes.
Eddinger?
Yep.
Motion carried. I just wanted to thank Troy and Melissa for working through 3 labor contracts. Is that the first time you've done 3 in 1 year, Troy?
I hope it's the last time.
Yeah.
So resume builder.
So it's taken a lot of time and effort. Several times going through here, we had to go through the numbers, and we would call Vonnie, and we would want to get these numbers, and we had to be a little patient because of the numbers we were asking for. It took a lot of time to calculate, and I want to thank Vonnie too for all the work she did with all of the requests that we had for numbers. But it came that we had, I believe, 3 very good agreements, and I just wanted to thank everyone that was involved with that. So we'll move on to our public hearing. This is a legislative hearing for fiscal year 2017-2018. It's an annual appropriations amendment hearing. Bonnie.
Good evening, Mayor and City Council members. Tonight I'm seeking approval for Council Bill 18-1023 to amend the 2017-18 budget. I'm going to start with general fund revenues. So there's about $692,000 in new revenues included in this amendment. Those are coming from, $254,000 is coming from building permits, $65,000 from plumbing, about $60,000 from fire department permits, another $175,000 from the gas tax, and $70,000 from sales tax, and then about $70,000 from grants in the police and fire department. So that's where the additional revenues are coming from. There's also $1 million in here from the designated fund balance. There's nothing in here that's coming from the fund balance, just what was designated from last year for carryovers of projects. And $150,000 from the sanitation fund and new transfers. Here's a list of the expenses that are included in the general fund. So there's $70,000 in grants for the police and fire department. The GO bond, there's a carryover of $212,000 for fire trucks, $69,000 to finish up Fire Station 4, $798,000 for the City Hall remodel, and about $66,000 in other carryovers. Part of that is overlay every year. Whatever wasn't spent in overlay gets moved into the new budget. We have $177,000 in an increase in constant manning in the fire department and some retirement payout. And then 458,000 as a transfer to the Atlas Mill site. So this is different in this budget amendment than the one that you saw last month. We had all of the Atlas Mill site in the general fund included in there. We've moved it to a capital projects fund. And so this is the amount that would come from the general fund into that capital project fund to pay for mostly the dirt work and the improvements that have happened, and also some interest for the loan from the wastewater cap fee fund. There's a $30,000 transfer to street lighting fund and $44,000 for the sunset lighting project at Sunset Park. There's a little graph with the same information on it. So the other funds that are not, these are all expenses that are not in the general fund. We have some grants and computers from the library fund of $39,000. Street lighting, they put in some more LEDs. It's about $36,000. The Atlas Mill site and all the improvements that are happening there of $8 million. Memorial Park, which includes the park, the signal, drainage improvements, the restroom, and the trail realignment of $2 million. The parking shared use lot, $471,000, and then for equipment at the new parking garage between 3rd and 4th, it's $300,000. The transfer to the general fund, which increased 150-ish. $45,000 from the parking fund that was for the increase for Independence Point, and that's going to help fund the ambassador program in the police department. $50,000 for the skateboard park, and $209,000 was a grant for the Centennial Trail. Just a little graph that shows pretty much the same information, and that is about all that's included in there. So I am open for any questions.
Questions for Bonnie? Questions? All that work, Bonnie, and no questions.
Let me throw one. So Vonnie, this is the end of this year.
Yes.
That's kind of the last movement of all the monies and in the different categories.
Yes.
So this isn't next year, this is this year.
No.
We cover so much territory all the time.
All in the same last 2 months.
Yes.
All right, thank you. This is a legislative hearing, and at this time, I would open up the public comment portion of this, seeing if there's anyone that wishes to give public comment on this. Not seeing anyone, I will then close the public comment portion of it and look for council action.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to dispense of the rule of Council Bill 181023 once by title only.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any discussion on this? Renata, if you could read the title, please.
Sure. Council Bill number 18-1023, an ordinance amending ordinance 3588, the annual appropriation ordinance for fiscal year beginning October 1, 2017, appropriating the sum of $103,039,937, which sum includes additional monies received by the city of Coeur d'Alene in the sum of $13,571,995, repealing all ordinances and parts of ordinances in conflict herewith, provided for the publication of a summary of this ordinance, and providing an effective date hereof.
Roll call, please.
Miller?
Yes.
McEvers?
Yes.
Gookin?
Yeah.
English?
Yes.
Eddinger?
Yep.
Evans?
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move to adopt Council Bill 181023.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Roll call again, please, Renata.
Miller?
Yes.
McEvers?
Yes.
Gookin?
Yes.
English?
Yes.
Eddinger?
Yep.
Evans?
Yes.
Motion carried. Now we will move on to our next public hearing. This is a quasi-judicial hearing, ZC 3-18. It is at 925 West Emma, zone change from R12 to C17L, request by Melrose Properties LLC. Mike?
All right, thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. This is a public hearing for item ZZ 3-18, an application by Melrose Properties LLC requesting a zone change from R12 to C17L. Property is located at 925 Emma Avenue, and legal notice was published in the Coeur d'Alene Press on September 1st, 2018, and all other required notifications have been made.
Mike, just stop you there just for a minute. I neglected to ask if any council member may have a conflict of interest. And we're not likes me to follow all of these rules here.
Okay.
So I skipped a step. Any council member have a conflict of interest here? Okay, seeing none, go ahead. I'm sorry.
As you can see, the property is located here highlighted in red. This is Ironwood, this is US 95, and this is Northwest Boulevard. Here's a close-up aerial photograph of the property. It's highlighted in red. This is the VA medical facility. The applicant has been in negotiations with the medical facility to possibly expand their parking lot in this area. But if the negotiations fail or don't come to fruition, anything in the C-17L would be allowed. The applicant's here to address more of that discussion. Here's a bird's eye view looking north of the property. It currently has a duplex on it. Here's one looking to the east. And here's the applicant's exhibit.
How big is that parcel? That's deeper than a typical city lot, isn't it?
It is fairly deep.
Yeah.
There are 4 findings that need to be met in order for a zone change to be approved. First finding is finding B8, that this proposal is or is not in conformance with the comprehensive plan. The comprehensive plan indicates this in the Appleway North 4th Street area, and it's in the green, which is in the transition, and transitions are where neighborhoods are likely to change and uses are likely to change over the planning period. Here are 3 comprehensive plan objectives as it relates to this zone change request. The full list is on page 7 of your staff report. The first one is objective 1.12, community design, support the enhancement of existing urbanized areas and discourage sprawl. Second one is efficiency. The third one is neighborhoods, protect and preserve existing neighborhoods from incompatible land uses and developments. The next finding is finding B9, that public facilities and utilities are or are not available and adequate for the proposed use. This application has been routed through the city departments, and each department has indicated that there are adequate public facilities and public utilities available to serve the proposed request. The full comments of staff is on page 7 of the staff report. The next finding is finding B10, that the physical characteristics of the site do or do not make it suitable for the request at this time. The site is relatively flat, and there are no topographical physical constraints that would make the subject property unsuitable to change the zoning from R12 to C17L. Here's a topographic map illustrating the topography. And the next slides indicate site photos of the property. This is looking at the current duplex on the front of the property. This is looking west along Emma. This is looking north along the west property line. And this is looking south along the east property line. And this is looking east towards the VA facility and the parking lot. The next finding is finding B11, that the proposal would or would not adversely affect the surrounding neighborhood with regard to traffic, neighborhood character, and/or existing land uses. City engineer has indicated that the streets have available capacity to accommodate the additional traffic generated from the subject site. Here's the zoning map illustrating the existing zoning. To the north and to the west is the R17. To the east is the C17L, and to the south, R12. The C17L zoning district is a district that permits a residential development at 17 units per acre and also allows a limited service commercial business activity. Here's a list of some of the principal uses that would be allowed. The full list is on page 15 of your staff report. For example, banks, hospitals, healthcare, religious churches, professional offices, and multifamily housing. Here's some zone changes that happened in the past. To the west, in 1991, there was a zone change from R12 to R17, and to the east in 2011 was a zone change from R12 to C17L. Surrounding land uses. To the east is commercial, to the north is multifamily, and so to the west is multifamily, to the south is single family and duplex housing. The decision point tonight is to consider the requested zone change from R12 to C17L on approximately 0.67 acres. You'll need to consider this request to make appropriate findings to approve, deny, or deny without prejudice. And that concludes my staff report, and I'm available if you have any questions. The applicant's also here to make a brief presentation as well.
Questions for Mike? Dan?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mike, there was a topography map that was included in your staff report, but there's one picture. Wait, stop right there. Go back. And that makes it look like this thing is kind of steep, but the topography map shows it's kind of flat.
Actually,
Does
that
it
garage is
slope?
below grade.
Oh, so the garage was built below grade, okay.
That's correct.
I didn't want to drive by because I didn't want to taint myself, but
The
I wanted
driveway
to
goes
ask
down.
about, yeah, if
This
that
is-
was really that steep or flat.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions for Mike? See, thank you. Now we will have the applicant can come up and present. And Renata will need to swear you in, please.
Can you state your name and your city of address for the record, please?
Ryan Nip, 2594 West Boulevard, Coeur d'Alene, Idaho.
Thank you. Do you swear that the testimony you are about to give will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Ryan Nip, partner at Parkwood Business Properties. I'd like to first begin by saying, Mayor Woodmeyer, happy birthday. Councilman Gookin, thank you so much for highlighting that
He loves me.
wondrous occasion. Parkwood Business Properties, we're the owner of 925 Emma Avenue, also Melrose Properties LLC. We're requesting the zoning of the 925 Emma parcel change from R12 to C17L. 925 Emma is located within the fast-growing health corridor, and over the next few minutes, I'd like to comment on this growth and why 925 Emma is a logical fit for C17L zoning. As we all know, Kootenai Health has undergone a significant expansion over the last few years, starting in 2014 with a multi-phase master facility plan for our hospital. The $57 million Phase 1 was completed in 2016, including a 100,000 square foot expansion that offers Kootenai Health's new family birth center and neonatal intensive care unit, an orthopedic and neurosurgery floor, plus the creation of a new north entrance and main lobby. And you'll see here on this aerial with my cursor, that's the new expansion. The recently completed $45 million Phase 2 expansion added 7,000 square feet of new space to the emergency department, and that is shown here. In Phase 3, we'll build out the third floor unfinished shell to provide 32 private patient rooms in 2019. As the hospital has seen significant growth and investment, clinics and medical office spaces has expanded as well. In 2013, Kootenai Health expanded its Kootenai Clinic service into a new 60,000 square foot medical office building at 1919 Lincoln Way, just 2 blocks east of the 925 Emma property. And 1919 Lincoln Way is highlighted here with the cursor. This building hosts 41 providers and 110 staff who serve over 300 daily patient visits. As an indication of rapid growth, Kootenai Clinic visits in 2012 was 138,000. In 2017, it was over 245,000. Just several feet away from Kootenai Clinic's facility is the 16,000 square foot VA clinic completed in 2014 that is shown next to our 925 Emma property, shown here. The VA clinic includes physical therapy, behavioral health, pharmacy, lab, and a planned eye clinic. 5 providers and 5 nurses serve over 200 patients per day with plans for more service lines and patient visits. This is the only VA clinic in the 5 northern counties and serves a population stretching south to Orofino and east to St. Regis and Libby, Montana. As the health corridor has experienced rapid expansion, major transportation improvements were completed in 2017 to improve access to the corridor. Improvements included added turn lanes and traffic light replacement at the intersection of Ironwood and Highway 95 here. New traffic light at Highway 95 and Emma. A right-in, right-out off Highway 95. Plus a new light at Medina and Ironwood Drive, highlighted here. In addition, the parking lot at the 700 Ironwood Drive building was expanded to accommodate the ever-increasing patient visits, and that area is here. The timing for this rezone request is driven by the VA's current desire to expand their parking lot. As the VA facility continues to experience patient and employee growth, additional parking is needed. We have identified an area at the north end of our adjacent 925 Emma parcel that could accommodate an expansion of the VA's current parking lot. It's been highlighted before, but that's this area here for the parking lot expansion. We cannot promise at this time whether we will successfully negotiate an expanded parking lot with the VA, but we are currently in discussions with them. If we do not move forward on a parking expansion, we are very confident there will be a commercial or medical use demand for that property in the future. My final comments relate to the comp plan that I know you must reference as you review this zone change request. One important comp plan priority is economic environment. The economic environment goal focuses on preserving the city's quality workplaces and encourages economic growth. Healthcare was an industry specifically highlighted and promoted in the comprehensive plan, and livable wages was another critical goal. To quote from the plan, Coeur d'Alene supports businesses that provide year-round stable jobs with livable wages that contribute to the overall economic health of Coeur d'Alene. Here are some incredible numbers generated right out of our health corridor. Kootenai Health is the largest employer in Idaho's 5 northern counties. It's currently estimated for every 100 employees on Kootenai Health's payroll, an additional 142 jobs are supported in the community. In 2019, Kootenai Health predicts its number of employees will have doubled since 2010. And Kootenai Health believes the number of employees could double again by 2030. And with the comp plan in mind, we should all recognize that these are incredible, year-round, stable jobs with attractive, livable wages. So in summary, our current and anticipated growth in the health corridor is significant, and we need available land to accommodate this expansion. 925 Emma is a parcel directly in the path of this growth and available to accommodate the corridor expansion. Thank you, City Council, for your time and consideration.
Thank you, Ryan. Questions? Ron?
Yeah, Ryan, with all this going on up there, how's it going to affect the traffic?
That's why we made a lot of improvements. The ITD, City of Coeur d'Alene, and others were heavily involved in those transportation improvements, and we're beginning to see the positive results of those improvements, and we think we're set now for more growth in the future, but we'll need to continue that study as time goes on with population growth. But that's one reason why I think this corridor is well suited for future growth based on those transportation improvements.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions? Woody?
Ryan, good job. Emma, it looks like from that picture that it starts to narrow right before that spot. Emma's eventually going to be pretty major going through to Northwest Boulevard, I imagine. So this piece you're working on is going to kind of be a widening spot for Emma. Do you see that?
I do. We work pretty hard with the VA facility, and I'm talking right in here.
Mm-hmm.
We were trying to observe traffic patterns and ingress and egress out of this access point. And so we made some modifications to this area to improve that. So I wouldn't be surprised at all in this area that that's studied as well, and we'd certainly work with the city to make sure that access is appropriate.
Right, thanks.
Any other questions for Ryan?
One quick
Kiki?
one. Brian, is the VA building owned by?
Correct.
Them?
Parkwood Business Properties owns
Okay.
that facility, yes.
So however this change occurs, there's going to be, even if that doesn't occur, there'll be some use in the medical arena for this piece.
If the
it's
parking lot
connected-
expansion, oh,
yeah.
sorry.
If it's connected to and can be used with the same building.
Yes, if the parking lot expands, that part of that parcel will be a medical use, correct. And if
Okay.
it doesn't, we really believe, probably sooner rather than later, there will be some type of commercial, more medical use there, or certainly a commercial use.
Any other questions? Thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
That. Now would be the time for any other public comment on this project. I have no one else on this list. Anyone in the audience that wishes to give public comment, the time would be right now. Not seeing anyone, I would close the public comment portion of that and look for council action.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to move to approve ZC 3-18 proposed zone change at 925 West Emma from R12 to C17L, requested by Melrose Property LLC to make and adopt the findings and order of the Planning Commission.
Second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? Dan?
Mr. Mayor, I was just gonna say, Woody asked the question I had, which is about Emma, because it gets weird there.
Yeah.
It gets narrow and it jogs, but it seems like you're on it, and you understand that, obviously, you don't want your customers, you know, and people coming to visit that to experience any stress with parking and on the road, and I think the city can do stuff to help along there as well. So, looks like a good plan.
Any other discussion? Roll call, please. Renata?
McEvers?
Yes.
Gookin?
Yes.
Evans?
Yes.
English?
Yes.
Eddinger?
Yep.
Miller?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Second.
Motion in several seconds to adjourn. All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Thank you, everyone.
I had my two boys flying on Friday.